Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now today it is December 8, 2020, and now we are going to start our today's lesson about HDI, Human Development Index. Yesterday we were talking about HDI, Human Development Index. That is an indicator to measure the living standard of the people of a country by using three things like real GDP per capita at purchasing power parity, or GNI, which is nowadays used as a GNI, gross national income per capita at purchasing power parity exchange rate. And the second index will be about education, like the literacy rate of a country, mean years of schooling and expected years of schooling. Okay, and the third indicator will be about the health conditions, the life expectancy at birth. Now yesterday I left this topic that different countries like Norway, like Switzerland, they are having the high ranked human developed countries. There are four groups of HDI rankings. HDI ranking, they are having the four groups. The first years, that is about very high development, very high developed. Their values will range between 0.8 and 1. Only a few number of countries, they are ranked in this category where the HDI value falls in between 0.8 and 1, like Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, USA, England. These countries, they are having the high values of HDI. Now, very high values. Now, we have the high value development. Their value will range between 0.7 to 0.790. So this is their value. For the second category of the HDI ranking, we are having the second category about, now the countries which are having the value in between 0.7 and 0.790, that country, those countries are having high value development. Their HDI value is showing the value in between this range. So they are having the second ranked countries according to HDI. Now the third rank of the countries, that is in between, now we say low HDI value, or moderate, or middle, you can say moderate HDI ranking, that is in between 0.55 and 0.7. These are the countries which are having moderate or in between values. At the middle range, you can say these are the countries which are having the ranking according to HDI in between 0.55 and 0.7, and our country lies in between this range. And below 0.55, they are lower HDI ranked countries. Below 0.55. If any country is having a value below this ranking, below 0.55 HDI value, then we can say this country is very poorly HDI ranked. It is having very low GNI per capita. It is having very low rate of literacy. Average expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling, they are also very low. Sometimes in the country, the children who are school going, they are only going on average 2.5 years for schooling, and expected years of schooling is also very less. So in that case, this country will be having HDI value below 0.55. Or their health conditions are also very poor. In some of the African countries, we find their average life expectancy is very less. Sometimes it is below 50 years. below 40 years of age, they are having the health conditions, average life is very low. So their HDI ranking will also be at a lower value. Now, if a country is able to improve its HDI ranking, there are the 4 tiers of HDI rankings. Suppose a country is lying here at the moderate value. Now, if it increases its GNI per capita, it depends upon the economic conditions of that country whether they are able to increase their GDP growth rate or GNI growth rate. And at the same time, they are also focusing on the education level of their country. Their literacy rate can also improve, their average schooling years, they will also be increasing. And the health conditions, the nutrition and mortality rates, if they are falling and nutrition is improving for that country, then this country can move towards the very high value development countries between 0.7 and 0.790. And further improvement can be there. What is the benefit of this HDI ranking? That now the country is not facing only the improvement in GNI per capita, like the GDP per capita index. We have seen that a country which was showing more economic growth faster than the population growth rate, its GDP per capita in real terms was increasing. But it was not focusing on the improvement in education and literacy rate and average life expectancy. Now in HDI, all these 3 indicators can be improved, which can improve their ranking in the HDI values. Okay, so here a country is not having focus on GNI per capita, but it has its focus on literacy rate, education index, and average life expectancy, how to improve the health conditions in the country, and then they can show us that HDI rank of the country is improved. Now it will tell us how a country can travel, how much it has to travel from 0.55 towards the value of above 0.8. And this can only be done by improving all the indicators. Keep it in mind, this HDI is also having a drawback. What is that drawback? It is not showing us the distribution of income in the country, whether we have unequal distribution of income or equal. So for that reason, you might have known this thing that you have studied the Gini coefficient. So Gini coefficient actually measures the income inequalities. When HDI value is adjusted for the Gini coefficient of the country, then we have inequality IHDI. You can say IHDI means inequality adjusted human development index. So whatever the income inequalities are present in a country, they can be represented by the Gini coefficient. And remember, the value of Gini coefficient, if it is closer to 0, that means this country is having more equal distribution of income. And if the value of Gini coefficient moving away from 0 towards 1, we say it is having more and more income inequalities. So keep it in mind, when we are adjusting the HDI value with respect to Gini coefficient, we will get IHDI, that means inequality adjusted value of human development index. Now if Norway country, Norway was having a value of HDI 0.956. Now when it is adjusted for inequalities, if some of the inequalities are present, then its value will be 0.843. Now you can see that a country which was showing higher level of HDI value and it was also associated with income inequalities, and HDI value was not adjusted for income inequalities, it was showing us a high value for the country HDI ranking. Now when it is adjusted for inequalities in the countries, its value will be deflated, it will be going down. So this is what the inequalities, when they are adjusted, then we are not having simply HDI, it will become inequality adjusted HDI ranking of the countries according to adjustment of income inequalities in that economy at particular time period. Now, there are other rankings of the countries. This is United Nations ranking according to HDI. UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program, that's an NGO which works under United Nations. There are so many NGOs which are raising funds and they are distributing funds in all of the countries of the world. Like we say UNICEF, World Health Organization, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, that's only concerned with the development of the countries of the world. Okay, so now this was the ranking of the United Nations according to Human Development Index. Now come towards the rankings of the countries, World Bank ranking. What are the World Bank ranking? World Bank ranking of the countries. Now World Bank is not using HDI values, but it is using GDP per capita or GNI per capita. It is using classification of the countries, classification of the countries according to GNI per capita. Now I am using GNI per capita instead of GDP per capita because the GNI, the gross national income of a country, can be different from GDP. Now according to this, there are 4 different ranks of the countries. Low income countries, LDCs, lower developing countries. Developing countries, these are called LDCs. Okay, they are having real GNI per capita below $1,026. This is the ranking. I have checked them early in the morning. This is data of year 2019, the latest value the World Bank issued in July 2020. That was about the ranking of the countries according to GNI per capita. If a country is having GNI per capita, keep in mind this is at current US dollar exchange rate. That means it is nominal GDP, not a real GDP of a country. If a country is having its GDP or GNI below 1026 US dollars, it is called lower income country or lower developing country. Now we are having another country range which is called middle income. Middle income countries. Middle income countries. Okay, these are the countries which are further divided into 2 categories. One is called lower middle income. Lower middle income, their income level ranges between $1,026, okay, you can say from here 1,026 till $3,999. If a country is having GDP per capita or GNI per capita in between this range, then we see this is a lower middle income countries. Do you know what is the GNI per capita of Pakistan for the last year? In this government regime, the political government, they have performed very poor, and there are so many reasons you might be knowing. Our GNI per capita falls in this range, $1,200 US. Only 1,200 and some dollars. We are lying in this range, lower middle income countries. Below even Sri Lanka, those they are having $3,900 US, and we are having 1200 US dollars our GNI per capita in 2019. That was lying in between 1700 and 1800 dollar in the previous government regime. Now we are having the range of the lower middle income countries in between $1026 till 3999. Now upper middle income countries, they are in between the 4000 US dollars and 12,000, and you can say $56 or $12,200, you can say is the round figure. There are some values in between 12,000 and 200, I don't remember right now, but this is the range when we say a country's GDP is lying between this range. We say it is having upper middle income status. Upper middle income status means, now this is better than the previous two categories. Now we are having this type of a country which is having GDP per capita in this range. This is upper middle income countries. We are having many nations in this category. Okay, now what is high income countries? High income countries, definitely they will have a GDP per capita above this upper middle income, that is more than $1,200 and $2,000 plus. Any value above this level in nominal terms, this is the current dollar exchange rate, GDP per capita or GNI per capita. If it is lying above 12,000 US dollars, a country is having, then we say this country will be having high income countries. Like Japan, they are having more than 40,000. US economy, they are having more than 65,000 US dollars GNI per capita, whereas Canada is having $48,000. On average, they are having the average earnings in per capita in Canada. And many countries, they are having this status in Asia, in North America, in upper European countries. So these are the rankings of the World Bank. Okay, before the collapse of USSR, we were having another ranking, first world, second world, third world. Now that ranking is abolished after the demise of USSR from the world map. Now this is the second classification of the countries according to GNI per capita. This is the World Bank ranking. We say if country is having its income level in between these values, we say in which value a country is falling. Lower developing countries, some countries they are having 300 US dollar GNI per capita. In Africa, we are having the countries on the same globe. Very poor countries, but thanks God we are enough better off than many of the countries. May Allah make us further better off. So these are the classifications of the countries according to GNI per capita. Now another ranking of the countries, that is their GNI debt ratio. Some of the countries they are having high GDP debt ratio. GDP debt ratio, you can say GDP debt ratio. Like countries are ranked according to HDI, countries are ranked according to GNI per capita. Now they are also ranked according to their debt ratio. You know, every country is borrowing from the financial institutions in order to bridge the gap between its expenditures and tax revenues, or sometimes it is borrowing money in order to bridge the gap between international receipts and payments. So that is called the national debt. So some of the countries we say they are highly indebted poor countries. These are highly indebted poor countries. They are having GDP debt ratio their GDP debt ratio, GNI, you can say GNI debt ratio, nowadays it is used GNI, it is above 80%. What does it mean? If this country is able to produce an output worth of $1, out of that $1, 80 cents will be paid in the debt payments. That is their national debt. Okay, so 80% of their GDP is indebted into the national debt. Whatever they earn, they have to pay out of that 80% in their debt payment. So this is highly indebted poor countries. So they have borrowed too much and now they are highly indebted. Now we say another category of the countries according to GDP per capita. You can say there is another thing like their national debt is 220% of their export earnings. What is this? Their debt. What is the national debt? Including domestic borrowing and international borrowing. Their export earnings, if they are $100, so out of that they have to pay 220% in the debt payments. So this is called high indebted poor countries. Whatever they earn out of exports, more than that they have to pay back to their creditors. Now the second category of the countries according to GDP debt ratio, that is about moderately indebted countries. What are these countries? Their GDP debt ratio lies in between 40 to 60%. 40 to 60% of GDP. If this range is present, like their national debt is in between this range, 40 to 60% of their GDP, then we say this is moderately indebted country. Although its debt is increasing, but it is moderate. They can better manage their national debts if they have effective macroeconomic policies to increase the GDP growth rate in order to pay back their national debts. These are moderately indebted countries. Above 60%, there will be the signs of highly indebted countries. Now, what are the third rank country? Well managed debted countries. They are having GDP debt ratio below 40%. Now, if a country is having GDP debt ratio below 40%, what does it mean? They can easily manage their national debts, whatever they earn out of every extra dollar. They have to pay only 40% in their debt payments. So these are the rankings of the countries according to their GDP debt ratio. Now come towards another very small level of concept, that is about Kuznets hypothesis. Kuznets curve. Hypothesis. This hypothesis can be a statement which can be either true or false. It can be verified after performing an experiment according to scientific knowledge. That is called hypothesis. Now Kuznets, that was the social scientist, he observed the data of the countries. So when countries are showing more GDP GDP growth more than their population growth rate, and their GDP per capita, although it is growing, but it is also causing more and more income inequalities. Like in the first stage, here I am taking GDP per capita, and here I am taking Gini coefficient. Keep it in mind, we studied this Gini coefficient in order to measure the income inequalities. Here its value is 0, then we find 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. As the value of Gini coefficient is increasing, that means its income inequalities are increasing. And as the values of Gini coefficient are going closer to 0, we say the income inequalities are decreasing, we are having more equal distribution of income. According to Kuznets hypothesis, whenever a country's GDP per capita is increasing, it is having more income inequalities in the first stage, like this is like this. As GDP per capita is increasing, inequalities are also increasing in the country, like the gap between rich and poor, that will be widening. It means whatever the economic growth is taking place, it is causing the distribution of income to be unequal in the country. And why is it happening? This is the reason some of the people, they are switching from agricultural farming sector towards manufacturing sector. So the gap between primary sector's earnings and the manufacturing sector's earning, that is widening, and we find that due to more economic growth, we are finding income inequalities in the country. Okay, now it reaches to this level. This is the GDP per capita where the income inequalities are the highest. After this, they will be declining. Income inequalities will be declining. This is the reason. There is a reason behind it. First of all, due to macroeconomics, successful policies, GDP per capita, GDP growth rate is faster than the population growth rate. So it was increasing the economic growth and it was also causing inequalities. So when governments, they realized that the gap between rich and poor, that is widening, then they will start to have more redistributional economic policies in which they will start to redistribute income in the form of more progressive taxation. Government will impose more progressive taxation in order to reduce these income inequalities, and then you can see when these policies are becoming effective, then GDP per capita is increasing, but Gini coefficient value there start to decline, and we will have more equal distribution of income. Okay. So this is data analysis of some of the countries which are developing and now they are moving towards to show their status in the form of higher GDP per capita. It may not be the true case for many of the developed countries when their GDP per capita is increasing and their income inequalities are not rising. They are having more balanced trickle-down effects to the whole population. That's why their GDP per capita increases. It is not causing more of income inequalities. It takes place in many of the developing countries when they move towards more development and more economic growth they are showing. So at that time their income inequalities can arise. So that's all for today. We have studied in our today's lesson about first of all, we studied SDA ranking of the countries, then we studied the classification of the countries according to World Bank rankings, and then we studied the Kuznets curve or Kuznets hypothesis, which is related to GDP per capita and the Gini coefficient values. That's all for today. By tomorrow, I will be doing the problems and characteristics of the developing countries. What are the characteristics which are present in case of developing countries? and you have to do what will be the characteristics of the developed countries. Okay, that will be your task to analyze, and then we will be moving towards the main core part of macroeconomics, that is national income. Again, how to measure it and what are the components of aggregate demand and aggregate expenditure, C plus I plus D and plus net exports, and they will be analyzed separately. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.